The skies darken, and radar screens across the globe begin to light up. An invisible tension spreads across continents. Two of the most powerful air forces in human history, America and Russia, now face one another in a clash that the world has only ever whispered about. What happens when the hunters of the skies meet head-on? Who controls the heavens when stealth bombers, hypersonic missiles, and next-generation fighters are unleashed at the same time? Picture the Pacific Ocean filled with aircraft carriers, their decks roaring with jet engines. Thousands of feet above, satellites silently reposition, while deep underground command centers issue coded orders. Somewhere in the frozen Arctic, fighter jets streak through the clouds, their contrails slicing across a sky where victory could belong to either side. This is not a prediction. This is not a call for conflict. This is an exploration, a chilling what-if scenario that pushes the boundaries of imagination. Tonight, you'll journey into a world of strategy, technology, and the terrifying beauty of aerial warfare. Stay with us until the very end, because what you discover about control of the skies might change how you see modern war forever. Subscribe now, and let's begin. The first hours of the Sky War, the very first hours of a war between America and Russia, would shape the entire conflict. Unlike wars of the past, this one would not begin with columns of tanks rolling across borders or armies clashing in muddy fields. It would begin in silence, in the high cold skies above the Arctic and the Pacific. The battlefield would stretch beyond the horizon, invisible to most human eyes but burning across radar screens in secret bunkers on both sides. Inside a mountain base in Colorado, American commanders would stare at glowing monitors. Thousands of miles away, deep under the Urals, Russian generals would do the same. Both sides would know that the first minutes of this clash could decide years of preparation. The world would hold its breath, watching for a flash in the sky, waiting for the first missile launch. America's first move would be stealth. The B-2 Spirit and the new B-21 Raider, designed to evade even the most powerful radars, would slip through the night sky, hunting for enemy command centers and missile batteries. The F-22 Raptor and F-35 Lightning II would rise from hidden bases, carrying air-to-air missiles designed to destroy opponents before they even knew they were targeted. But Russia has built its own fortress in the sky. Its S-400 and S-500 missile defense systems are some of the most advanced on Earth, capable of tracking and targeting stealth aircraft at extraordinary ranges. Its Su-57 stealth fighters, sharp and agile, would climb to intercept, their engines cutting through the freezing air. Above the Arctic, contrails would slash across the heavens. Two philosophies meet here: American precision and invisibility against Russian strength and raw agility. Every move would be a gamble, every missile launch a test of decades of doctrine. The first hours would decide who owns the skies, but the oceans were already preparing to erupt. The battle above the oceans. If the skies over the Arctic ignite first, the oceans would follow soon after. Modern wars are not only fought over land, they are fought where sea and sky meet. The United States Navy, with its immense fleet of aircraft carriers, would surge into action. Each carrier is a city of steel, a floating fortress that carries its own air force, from the Nimitz class to the advanced Ford class. These ships can launch waves of F/A-18 Super Hornets and F-35Cs, turning the sea into a runway for domination of the air. Across the waters, Russia would answer with its lone but formidable Admiral Kuznetsov, escorted by missile cruisers and submarines. The ship itself cannot match the scale of America's carrier groups, but it is not meant to. Russia's strategy is defense, not projection. The Kuznetsov would sail into icy waters closer to home, using the Arctic fog and the reach of Russia's coastal missile systems to shield itself. From its deck, MiG-29Ks and Su-33s would rise, bracing for a duel against American squadrons. The first encounters would be brutal. American E-2D Hawkeye surveillance aircraft would scan hundreds of miles of ocean, feeding information into carrier command centers. Super Hornets would sweep the skies, engaging Russian fighters in deadly dances above the waves. But Russia would strike from a distance. Its Tu-22M backfire bombers, carrying supersonic anti-ship missiles, would thunder toward American carriers. If they closed the gap, even a single hit could cripple a ship worth billions. The U.S. would counter with its Aegis missile defense system, destroyers unleashing interceptors in storms of fire. Missiles would clash mid-air, fireballs blossoming across the horizon. For every wave that broke against American defenses, another would follow. Carriers give America overwhelming reach, but they are also vulnerable beacons. Russia knows this. Its submarines would lurk beneath the waves, silent and patient, waiting for the chance to strike. The ocean itself would become a battlefield of shadows, every sonar ping carrying the weight of life or death, and as the carriers fight to survive, a quieter battle brews in the unseen realm, one where no jet or missile can be seen, yet the outcome decides everything. The invisible battlefield, cyber and space. The skies of the future are not only filled with jets, bombers, and missiles. They are filled with signals, data streams, encrypted commands, radar pulses, and satellite transmissions. In a war between America and Russia, this invisible battlefield would be as decisive as any dogfight. The moment hostilities erupt, cyber warfare units would spring into action. In secret facilities, both sides would unleash digital attacks designed to blind and confuse. Firewalls would collapse, radar feeds could be corrupted, and false images might appear on screens, phantoms of aircraft that do not exist. America would rely heavily on its GPS network, satellites that guide aircraft, ships, and weapons with precision. Russia would target these with electronic jamming systems like Krasuka, flooding the airwaves with interference. Pilots could suddenly find their instruments unreliable, their missiles drifting off target. Drones might lose contact with their controllers and spiral uselessly toward the ground. High above the Earth, satellites would maneuver. Some would shift position, some would go dark, others might be attacked outright. Both America and Russia have tested anti-satellite weapons. A single missile launched into orbit could shatter a satellite into thousands of fragments, turning space itself into a minefield. But the danger runs deeper. America's X-37B spaceplane, a mysterious vehicle capable of long-term orbital missions, could be used to disrupt or disable enemy satellites. Russia, with its own experimental systems, could counter. The battle in orbit would be silent, unseen, but every move would ripple downward. Without satellites, fighters become blind. Carriers lose coordination, and missiles become guesswork. In this invisible war, victory belongs not to the loudest roar of engines, but to the side that sees while the other stumbles in darkness. And if the skies above Earth are turned into a graveyard of shattered satellites, the battle below would grow even more desperate. Firestorms over cities as the war drags on. The skies would stretch beyond oceans and tundras, settling above the hearts of nations. Major cities, Washington, Moscow, New York, St. Petersburg, would no longer be bystanders. They would become fortresses beneath the heavens. American B-2 Spirits and B-21 Raiders would lift off from hidden bases, their black wings blending into the night. Their mission would be surgical: strike command centers, disrupt air defenses, cripple the enemy's ability to fight. Russian Tu-95 Bears and Tu-160 Blackjacks would thunder into the skies, carrying payloads meant to do the same across oceans, but neither side would allow their skies to be undefended. Russia's S-400 and S-500 systems would form invisible domes around its major cities, creating layers of protection that stretch into the stratosphere. America's Patriot and THAAD systems would answer, their interceptor missiles ready to shatter enemy warheads mid-flight. Civilians below would hear alarms, watch the contrails of fighters crossing above, and see flashes in the night as missiles collided miles overhead. Dogfights could erupt above city skylines, their trails etching into the horizon like scars. For those on the ground, every passing shadow, every rumble of engines would carry a question: friend or foe? The war above cities is more than military. It is psychological. To hold the skies above a capital is to show dominance, to send a message not only to armies but to entire populations. Every strike is a gamble. Too much destruction risks escalation, too little risks appearing weak. And so, as bombers trade blows, as defenses strain to hold, the world would watch capitals turn into battlegrounds of pride and survival. The skies, once symbols of wonder, become warnings of fire. Who controls the skies? When the last echoes of missile fire fade and the contrails dissolve into the atmosphere, the question remains suspended above the world like a storm cloud. Who truly controls the skies if America and Russia were to clash? On one side stands the United States, wielding the largest and most sophisticated air fleet on Earth. Its F-22 Raptors, F-35 Lightning IIs, and stealth bombers like the B-2 and the B-21 represent not only technology, but a philosophy of invisibility and precision. Its aircraft carriers move like floating kingdoms across the oceans, bringing American air power to every corner of the globe. Its constellation of satellites watches from above, mapping the Earth with unwavering detail, ensuring no corner of the battlefield is left unseen. Decades of experience, logistics, and global alliances create a foundation so immense that it seems unshakable. But opposite this stands Russia, a nation forged in resilience and defense. Its air force may be smaller, but its edge lies in its shield. The S-400 and S-500 missile systems cast wide nets of protection, capable of denying entry even to stealth aircraft. Its Su-57 stealth fighters and agile interceptors, its Tu-95 Bears and Tu-160 Blackjacks, its growing arsenal of hypersonic missiles, all exist to remind the world that striking Russia comes with unthinkable risks. Its electronic warfare systems are legendary, able to blind radars, jam communications, and make even the most advanced machines stumble. Where America reaches outward, Russia digs inward, creating fortresses of steel and fire. If such a war came to pass, the outcome would not be determined solely by who had the faster jet, the longer-range missile, or the stealthiest bomber. It would hinge on timing, on deception, on who could adapt when the skies turned unpredictable. One path ends with America's overwhelming power sweeping across continents, breaking defenses and holding the skies. Another path ends with Russia's layered shields and relentless counterattacks grinding America's advantage into stalemate, turning the sky into a no-man's land where victory cannot breathe. And yet, even in these imagined victories, there is no triumph. The cost would be unbearable. Cities would tremble, economies would collapse, and the very fabric of global security would tear apart. The winner would inherit nothing but ashes, because in a true clash between these two giants, the skies themselves would fall silent not from peace, but from exhaustion. Conclusion. So who controls the skies? The haunting answer is no one. Not America, not Russia, because the skies are not meant to be owned, not meant to be conquered by fire and steel. They are shared, fragile, and vital to the survival of all. And if there is one truth this scenario teaches, it is this: sometimes the greatest victory is the war that never happens. For if such a conflict ever came to life, the heavens above us all would no longer be a place of wonder, but a reminder of how close humanity stands to its own destruction. As you look up tonight, see the skies not as a battlefield, but as a gift we all must protect. If you found this journey thought-provoking, subscribe and stay with us. The next story may take you deeper into the unseen frontiers of modern warfare and the questions that define our future.